Okay, guys, so I know some of you guys may be asking, like, what happened Monday? Like, we just, my family, I just started, and myself, we just started asking for like prayers and prayers. But so I think I'm a little bit ready to talk about it without crying. So on Monday, they called me and they told me, hi, hey, we think you should really come. You should really be here because Emma's oxygen is dropping to like 60%. Like, and it was like dropping fast. So I was like, okay, I was already dropping the kids off anyway at daycare. So I was like, okay, I'll be there shortly. Rush over here. And the doctor tells me, she's like, you have three options. One is, so what happened was that like Emma had a lot of air around her heart. Not only did she have that air like on the side of her lungs and stuff, but she had some like around her heart. So the doctor was, we try to like we poke a hole and try to drain the air out, but it's risky because we don't have cameras or anything in the ICU, like the equipment necessary to look and make sure we don't poke the lung or poke the heart, so it's a little risky. The second option is she said the second option is taking her to the CT scan room and doing it there, getting a CT scan of like what's going on, how much air and all the stuff, and then probably just doing it there. But the risk there is that she might not make it to the CT scan because her oxygen was just so bad, and she would have to be on a manual oxygen pump, and she might not even make it to the CT room. And I was like, okay, what's the third option? She's like, oh, that one is that she goes on the ECMO machine, but we really don't recommend that because it's dangerous. So I was like, okay, I heard the word dangerous, and I was like, okay, that's not an option. I go with option number one because even though it's risky, I do trust the doctors no matter what. That's one. And two, why risk taking her somewhere if we might not even get there to get those answers? So I was like, fine, we'll do number one. And I am so blessed and thankful. I am so thankful that the doctors let me stay in the hall, because for most of Emma's procedures that she's gotten done, they do it in the ICU room because they cannot move her. And but still, like, the parents have to go to the waiting room. But I have, I always say I'm not moving, I'm staying here. And so thankfully the doctors have respected that, and they let me stay, as long as I am not in nobody's way, because obviously they so much stuff to prepare for anything, So when they did that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait over here on the side. And then the doctors come, and they were like, we couldn't get any air out, like barely anything. And her oxygen just dropped so low. So then I heard the word ECMO, and then on the on the speakers, like ECMO to room 340 and stuff. And I was like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, I thought ECMO was dangerous. And so, those the social workers there, and she's like, don't freak out, it's normal, and this and that. It's like, whatever, like, just don't freak out, And she's like, but if they do put your daughter in ECMO, you are gonna have to go to the waiting room, because technically it's a whole procedure that would have to be done in the operating room, because everything's like has to be sterilized. The doctors and nurses wear a blue gown, and so they close the doors to the pod that she's in, and nobody's allowed in and out. If like you have to be in the blue gown, like just so much stuff, So I was like, fine. So because they brought in the ECMO, I went to the waiting room. And then the doctor comes, and he's like, okay, she's stable again, so I'm gonna try again and suction the air. And I'm like, okay, I guess it didn't work, because he comes back and he's like, it didn't work. We're gonna have to put her on the ECMO machine. Her oxygen is so low. The ECMO machine, what it is it works as a heart and lung machine. and it pumps oxygen for her so she doesn't have to do it. And so I was like, okay, obviously, you know, whatever, like, you guys, you know, when they're telling me these things, I don't hold them, like, I don't ask questions, because I'm like, just do what you have to do and then we'll talk about it later, you know. And yes, so they did that, and you know, I'm waiting, and they did tell me the ECMO is gonna take a while, because it's those big tubes that you've seen that are on her like neck, and they like put them into, I don't know, but like, you know, it's like a whole procedure, so they're like, it's gonna take a while. So, you know, I'm waiting in the waiting room, and then here comes a social worker running, and she just, I still get like just like goosebumps, just she comes running, and she just tells me like, come, like, you know, you need, they're giving your daughter compressions, the chest compressions. And I just ran in there, and I just screamed for Emma and threw myself on the floor. I don't remember anything. I just remember that they were like, you have to be quiet, because the surgeon is still trying to put the ECMO thing in her neck, you know, we can't distract him. And you know, I go, I'm like, fine, like, I managed to get up, I go to the hall, and I'm like crying and still trying to, like, Emma, come on, you know, and just like, but all I see is them doing compressions, and I would hear like, okay, like, hold. So I guess like they'd hold the compressions, and when they would hold, they were trying to put those things in, because once the ECMO is in, Emma's safe, you know, she has that heart and that lung, you know. So you know, they're like doing, and then it was like hold, and then they were trying to do that, and then also like suction, like, because what happened was that they realized that her heart stopped when they were doing the ECMO, because when they were trying to suction the air out, they poked her right artery from her heart. So what happened was that she started bleeding, and all that blood went around her heart, and it just compressed, it just like squished her heart, and so it made her heart stop. So, you know, they're compressing, doing the thing, suctioning the blood, and like, I don't even know how they realized, to be honest. Like, I didn't ask, but you know, they saved my daughter's life. Like, thankfully, thank God, Emma did not have no blood rush to her brain, because, you know, that's what happens. Emma's heart stopped for like 15 to 20 minutes, the doctor said, but because they had the people they needed there and the equipment they needed the whole time, as long as you're doing compressions on her, her blood is pumping, and that's all you need. You need her blood to be pumping. So they're the whole time they were, and they like, I asked the doctor a few, like 2 days after all this, and I was like, who saved my daughter's life? I would want to thank them. She's like, honestly, I don't know. She's like, I grabbed any muscle I saw outside, and I told, you know, because they have to rotate. It's like, it's so hard to do compressions. You will get tired. So she's like, you know, it's every 2 minutes they were rotating, you know, people giving compressions. And so technically it was everybody, you know, but I was like, you know, thank you to everybody, you know, whoever saved my daughter's life. Like, I am more than grateful and thankful and appreciative, because my daughter is alive, you know. And it's been, you know, since last week Monday, like, you know, so they finally got the machine in, they were looking, and they saw that the bleeding wasn't stopping. So they're like, that's when they're like, something's wrong. So on top of all that, they still had to take her to the OR, even though they don't like to move her, but they still had to take her to the operating room to open her chest and look at her heart. Like, I get chills thinking of that too. Like, just, so they opened her chest, they looked at her heart, and that's when they saw that the right artery of her heart had a hole. So they had to fix it by like stitching or whatever they do to the heart. So they fixed it. Emma came back, she was fine. You know, even though she was on the ECMO machine that works as a heart and lung machine, she was also on the one that, you know, is in her mouth, the tubes. You know, just a little bit of like oxygen pressure for her to keep breathing and stuff. And because she was doing okay, then they decided, you know what, we're gonna, and like, she was doing okay, but her lungs you know, are still very sick. So they were like, we're gonna put her on the oscillator machine, which is the machine that makes her shake. And they started low, and since they started low, you know, her lungs were kind of like, you know, we were getting air in the right places, like one of the nurses would tell me, in the right places. But you know, we got a little excited, so we went up again, and then there was air in the wrong place on her right lung. You know, both her lungs are collapsed. So it was like, that's bad. So they took her off the oscillator. They even took her off the other machine that was giving. So right now they say that Emma has 0 oxygen. They say Emma is not breathing, and that sounds really scary, and I just freak out. But they're like, it's okay, she doesn't need to breathe right now because the machine is doing it all for her. You know, they were trying to save her, trying to heal her by, like, you know, using these other machines too to open up her lungs, but that wasn't helping. So they're like, you know what, just no more machines of nothing, just the ECMO that pumps the oxygen and stuff, and that's all we're using. So her lungs and heart are literally like stopped, you know. It's really scary. I am really scared. They're bringing down the paralytic medicine, which is like, so her body's not so paralyzed, because she's paralyzed, but she's also sedated. So they're bringing down that. So today she like squirmed a little. It was so beautiful. I got so excited. I started crying. But you know, it really doesn't mean anything. Like, her lungs are still really sick. And I was trying to get it in video so then I can post it, but I couldn't because I don't know when she's gonna move. And sometimes it was just a little finger and I would miss it, or a little toe. But hopefully tomorrow I can get that. But it's just a beautiful feeling. Like, you know, yes, she's no more oxygen, but she still has a pulse. She's still alive. She's now moving a little bit because they brought down the medicine, and you know, she's sedated, but they're bringing that down too because yesterday, you know, for some reason she was just so uncomfortable or so awake. She did not want to go to sleep. So they gave her everything. They went up on all sedation medicine so she can go to sleep, because her heart rate was high, her blood pressure was high. So I feel like we gave her too much yesterday, that's kept her sedated all day today. So they're like, you know, she needs to like react a little bit more, so they're gonna bring that down again, you know. But that's what it's like here every day. It's like up down, take it away, bring it back, take it away, bring it back, like medicines and stuff, you know. So the machine, take it away, bring it back, like it's like that every day. So that's why like I told like one of the nurses, I talked to so many people here, somebody told me, like, you know, I bet, like, you know, people have to understand that, you know, I'm not just here with my daughter and sitting and watching her. Like, it's these things that change, like, daily, that I have to process. So every day it is new information for me, and every day it's like, oh, we're gonna take this off, and I'm like, wait, I thought that was good because it was helping for this. No, it's because now this, and we're gonna add this one, but I thought that one was bad because it causes actually more bacteria. And like, well, it's because we have to even now, you know, this one is bad for the kidneys, and so we're gonna take this one out, but we're gonna add this one that's like still like bad. Like, it's just so much, you know. So it's like things that I really have to like process, but I literally know what every medicine is in that room, you know. And oh my god, I'm talking so much. But so yeah, so currently Emma is still very much alive, guys. Like, I freak out because they say she's on 0 oxygen and the machine is doing everything for her, but she still has a pulse, she still hears me, you know. Now she's gonna start moving a little bit until she moves a lot, and then they go up again. But I still ask, like, that you guys keep praying, and I want to say thank you so much to everybody who is praying, because, you know, and everybody who genuinely means it and is like doing it consistently every night, you know. Even if you're not, just to anybody who's praying for Emma, like, I really do appreciate it, because it's working, you know. And how do we know that it's working? because she's still here with us. Emma is still alive, and as long as she's alive, you know, we're okay. But I just really ask that everybody just keeps praying. Don't forget, Emma's lungs are still very sick. Like the doctors told me today, there's nothing else we can do. We just really have to wait, and we need to, her lungs need to heal by themselves. Like, we can't do anything because, you know, they already tried. They tried those other machines and stuff, you know, to help, and they didn't help. So they're like, it's really just Emma needs to heal her lungs by herself. Like, we can't do anything else. And they're like, you know, we're not giving up on her, but, you know, they tell us, like, she still qualifies on that small percentage of people who survive this. And then I was like, small percentage, you know? They're like, yeah, she's not at 0, but I mean, there's a percentage that she, you know, so like the doctor's already like, you know, there's not much we can do. But, you know, I have hope, I have faith. I asked, what if, you know, if it gets to the point where Emma needs a lung transplant, like, can I donate my lungs, or like, how does that work? And they were like, you know, we will talk to somebody that, you know, does that. But Emma probably wouldn't even qualify because she just got a bone and marrow transplant. I think you have to be a year post-transplant to get another transplant or something like that. You know, they didn't want to give me a lot of information because we're not there yet. So I'm like, that's fine as long as we're not there yet. And I don't want to get there. I want her to heal her lungs. So everybody just please keep praying for Emma Rose to just heal her lungs. I am going home with my son. Well, I'm going to stay at my grandma's again because it's closer to the hospital. But, you know, I was going to stay with Emma tonight. But the nurse is like, sometimes I get those nurses that are like, go home. Like, you can stay here as late as you want, but you have to go home and rest, you know? Because, like, one of the nurse practitioners told me, she's like, you know, you have to, she's like, what'd she say? She's like, you have to rest, you have to go home, because when Emma wakes up, she's going to want you here, and then that's when you're going to have to be here. And I was like, okay, so it's hard. That's why I make my video here in the parking lots, because, you know, I'm still here. I'm not far. So if something happens, they call me, I'm right here. And I don't always sleep at my house. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I sleep at my grandma's with my kids, you know, but that's okay. But yeah, just keep praying for Emma. I know she's going to get better. It's just going to take some time, but I know Emma's going to get better. And honestly, I really mean it. Thank you so much to everybody that is praying for Emma. And trust me, I know God is listening to you guys, to us, because he still has my baby here fighting. I pray that Emma's lungs heal. And I pray that God gives her all that strength she needs to continue fighting, because I do not want my baby to get tired. Like, I really need her. And I can't wait for her to heal, for her to get better, and we're just all home, because I am dying to have all my kids together already. Like, but that is Monday's story. The updates, yeah, that's it, guys. Emma is stable, really sedated right now. Not breathing, but it's okay. She's on that machine and she's moving still. She still has the pulse, you know. So yes, just keep praying, you guys, and thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who is praying. Like, it really does mean a lot. Like, just let's not forget that, you know, her lungs still haven't healed, and I will keep you guys updated whenever I can. It's just, this past week has been very emotional for me. You know, as you saw in some other videos, that is just very, very hard. But today's exactly a week. It's okay. She's making it through. She's fighting. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy that she's okay, that she's still alive, that she's still with us, and she's really fighting. So, like I told Emma right now, tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow we will get better news. Her x-ray will be better, because overnight, God will do all his healing on her, and heal her lungs like we need. But again, thank you so much to everybody, and good night. Thank you.